You know, I stare out at this world, and I see the best of a generation wasted. Let's start with high school. It's as good a place as any. So you go into high school. You follow all the rules. You're a bright kid. You do what you're supposed to do. And you get labeled, what? A geek, a nerd. You get picked on. You have no access to women. Women ignore you, treat you like scum. But you know, now let's look at the bullies. Let's look at the jocks that were picking on you. How's the narrative go? That these guys, 15 years later, you wander into a grocery store and they're packing your groceries for you? Is that how the world works? Spite? Hatred? That's what justifies getting picked on in high school? Or is it that the inmates are running the asylum? That a bunch of children, of teenagers, were responsible for creating the social order? You're telling me there was no sane adult that could have come in and offered guidance to any of these people, and that the expectation of the geek is pain and suffering, while the jock doesn't accomplish anything with his life, but he bags groceries the entire time. Yeah, that's how a healthy society works. So you graduate high school. What then? Maybe you join the army. You join it for Queen and country, the most patriotic and noble of motivations. What happens then? You get to see an orphanage hit by a remote drone. You go overseas. You put your soft little body between the warmth of home and the horrors of war. And what do you get? You wind up in a war with no victory condition, a perpetual war, with a native population that doesn't want you there for damn good reason. Is there any wonder that we have so many cases of PTSD coming out of these nonsense wars? Thanks for serving your country. Here's a crutch. Or maybe you don't go to war. Maybe you don't join the military. Maybe you go to university. And what do you find there? $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 for tuition? It doesn't matter. You're not getting an education at the end of the day. The university bubble is about to pop. You are paying for your professor. Some elite person that doesn't write books that anyone wants to read, and yet somehow affords one of the fanciest houses in town. You are paying for their lifestyle, and you come out of it with no job prospects. So you graduate university. You took your degree in whatever you were told to get the degree in. Whatever your high school counselor, that responsible adult, told you to get. And what do you find in the modern workplace? Well, what you find is that small business entrepreneurship has been all but banned. There are so many taxes, so many regulations. Can you afford health care for your employees? That you're not going to start your own business. You're going to go work for somebody else. And that somebody else, more and more, it's the corporation. The same corporation that pays for the regulators that shut down small businesses, while the politicians laugh all the way to the bank. So you're working for the corporation now. And what do you find about this job? Is your competence rewarded? Is your brilliance or your innovation or your work ethic rewarded at the corporation? Of course not. See, if you did your job well, you'd threaten your superiors. And the CEO, he doesn't care. He's just waiting for the day to ship all those jobs overseas so we can get slave labor to do them. And the only reason he hasn't already is because of those superiors who have contracts and who could sue him. if he shuts down the local branch. So you keep your head down. You try not to upset your superior. You are a good little worker monkey doing a pointless job that should have been taken over by computers years ago. And how does that leave you at the end of the day? How do you feel knowing that you did something pointless all day and that you might get smacked on the ass for not doing it pointlessly enough? Oh, you try and go to the gym. You try and read. You try and do something in your spare time. But what do you really do? You come home. You look at some internet porn, you play video games all night. And then, on those 2.5 days, on the weekend, you go out to the club and you find a slut to fuck. You want a wife. You want a partner. What you get is a slut. And let's not forget the ladies in all of this at all, because I see the most beautiful and brilliant women constantly measuring themselves up against this fake plastic celluloid coming out of Hollywood, always feeling inadequate. And the most venal and callow of women, well, they flaunt it like they got it. So ladies, they go into the university because that's what they're all supposed to do. And they're not supposed to find a husband because we all know how horrible those things are and how horrible it is to have children. They're told that they can have children up until their 50s by the mainstream media, only to find out at the age of 35 that they're infertile. And even if they see through this bullshit, even if they realize that they're 20, 25 and want to find a husband, who are they going to marry? Where are the men? We've done such a great job destroying men. The closest facsimile is that guy sweating stress bullets in the cubicle next to her, who can barely support himself, let alone support a family. Every generation is progressively more poor than the generation before it. Despite our iPods, despite our technology, we can't afford a family. We can't afford children. All we can afford is this noisy, shiny crap that distracts us so that we can go back to our useless jobs and work. And you wonder why we're pissed off? Some of us. Those few lucky and brilliant geniuses go to Silicon Valley, invent something brand new and revolutionary, and they make a mint off it. And good for them. Everybody used to live like that 150 years ago. How can we be so wealthy and yet so goddamn poor? The Great War was an interesting thing. It was an utterly pointless European war. But it was interesting in that technology fought that war, not men. Men suffered in trenches full of icy water and rats. Men suffered, bleeding, dying in no man's land. But men didn't fight that war. The howitzers did. It was a war waged by technology in which men died. And we find ourselves in a very, very similar era now. Except the technology is nothing so crude and mean as a howitzer. It's a machine gun. No. Our technology is the corporation. Our technology is marketing. It is mental manipulation. It's the constant lies that we are fed about what will make us happy when all it does is make us miserable. The label on the box says freedom, but the contents are license. Go ahead, have as much free sex as you want, have some new designer drugs, but if you want fulfillment in life, if you actually want to drive the human species forward, you want the freedom to do that, sorry, it's not available. Meanwhile, the very people that brought us onto this planet, the very people that we thought were going to raise us and turned us into a bunch of latchkey kids and daycare kids, they're upset because they're not getting their retirement. This is a sick, broken world. And we are all beginning to notice it, and we are all beginning to get very, very pissed off. But ultimately, we are the ones that are going to fix this. My brothers and sisters, the future belongs to us. It's up to us to fix this sick, sick society that we find ourselves in. Do what's right and we will prevail. We've been through dark times before our species, and I know we have it in it to survive this one. Rini out.